There's something that wears people down more than hard work or even failure, and it's the words others throw at you when you've already given everything you had. I once heard a story that's been around for a long time, yet every time I think about it, it makes me pause. It takes place in a quiet rural town, the kind where life moves slowly, but people are quick to judge. There was a young man there named Daniel. He lived with his mother in a small house beside wide open fields. Money was tight, so from a very young age, Daniel learned to wake up before the sun. While most people were still asleep, he was already out in the fields, bent over his work, moving steadily until the heat rose and his shirt was soaked with sweat. Only when the work was done would he return home, rinse his face, and sit down with his books. He didn't have much time to study, but he valued every quiet minute. Not because he wanted to impress anyone, but because he believed learning was his only way forward, his only way out of a life that felt endlessly repetitive. People in the town often said Daniel was smart. Many believed he would easily pass his final exams. Daniel believed it too, until the day the results came out. He failed one subject, just one. But in that moment, it felt like everything inside him collapsed at once. Still, the deepest pain didn't come from the grade. It came in the days that followed. Every morning when he stepped outside his door, the looks, the whispers, the half-joking comments that carried sharp edges. People talked about his failure as if it were entertainment, as if all his effort had never existed. Daniel didn't argue. He didn't explain himself. But with every walk to the fields, something inside him grew heavier. The confidence he once had didn't disappear loudly. It cracked slowly, quietly. One evening, after a long and exhausting day, Daniel went to see Mr. Harris, a former teacher he deeply respected. The man was old, soft-spoken, with calm eyes that seemed to have seen a lot of life. Daniel told him everything, not about failing the exam, but about the words he heard every single day and how they were wearing him down. Mr. Harris listened for a long time, then said something unexpected. Tomorrow morning, he told Daniel, take a large container and fill it completely with water. Walk the same road you always do, but make sure not a single drop spills. Daniel didn't understand, but he trusted his teacher. The next morning, as the town slowly woke up, Daniel stepped outside, holding the full container. It was heavy, filled to the edge. One careless move and the water would spill. He walked slowly, carefully. People stood along the road as usual, the same faces, the same looks, but this time, Daniel didn't notice them. His eyes stayed fixed on the surface of the water. His hands were steady. His breathing slow and controlled. The sounds around him faded, like background noise. The voices, the laughter, the judgment all blurred into something distant and unimportant. There was only the container in his hands, and the focus it demanded. When Daniel reached the end of the road, the water was still full. Later, he returned to his teacher and said that he hadn't heard a single word from anyone along the way. Mr. Harris smiled gently and told him that was the lesson. When you focus deeply on what you are doing, the outside world loses its power over you, not because it changes, but because your mind no longer gives it space. From that day on, Daniel didn't wait for the town to change. He changed first. He studied with deeper focus. He worked in silence. The comments didn't disappear, but they no longer controlled how he felt. He realized that for a long time, he had been listening to others more than he had been listening to himself. One morning, standing in the field as the sun rose, Daniel felt lighter, not because everything was suddenly better, but because he finally understood something important. When you focus deeply on your own path, the noise of the world naturally grows quieter. And sometimes, the greatest strength isn't proving yourself to anyone, but moving forward, calmly without letting outside voices pull you off course.